Kind of like that.
Good evening, universe. It's another edition. Welcome and welcome back to the Articulate Barbarian. I'm your host, Alex Soto. Who we got on deck tonight? Introduce yourself.
I'm Mikie Judd, comedian. I'm here with my good friend Red Skeleton.
All right, we'll get into Red Skeleton because, you never know. I never know what I get into. This is the first time Mikey and I are meeting. I'm having a great time with him. But, I never know what kind of art's going to decorate my center stage. Last time we've had, like I was telling you before the show started, I've had a drone specialist. Shout out Travis McCartney. He does drone camera, and we've had that. It was funny too, and then I'll get back on this. Not knowing anything about droning, I said it would be cool if you could just lift it up, like go to the camera, back up, and park. Well, he didn't know either because he's new at this too. So he fires this thing up. Well, apparently GPS works great outside, so it would work perfect if it was outside, but because it was inside, there was a wind tunnel capturing hitting the walls, so this son bitch is moving around, and the whole time I'm like, wow, this is exciting, and the whole time he's like, oh my god, I'm almost at this guy's camera. So finally we parked it and just had a great meeting. So if this thing is about to fly around and smash my equipment, just let me know. But alright, so Mikey, tell us about what your comedy is, because I can't wait to. He's going to be performing tonight at the Gladiator Comedy Workout Room in Summerfield in the Villages, Florida. We do it every Thursday night, 8 p.m. And we are also getting ready to start our, by the time this airs, we will be running our Thursday show at Nancy Lopez on Village property, and I had him on deck, but at this point in where we are in the year, they postponed the beginning for another couple weeks, so everybody got thrown off course, so I apologize for that, but we're going to get you back in over there to do both rooms. But, alright, so let's talk about Red Skeleton, what you're about.
Well,
who is Mikey, and tell us all about you.
Well, Mikey started comedy since I was a kid.
Okay.
And not on stage, but just in general life. People say, how long you been a comedian? My whole life, as most comedians I would hope would answer as well. But, many years ago, a friend in high school used to call me the man of 1,000 voices. And of course, a lot of those voices I can't do anymore, or they're irrelevant, because of the years that go by. I'm not as young as I was back then, but and it turns out just a few years later, I've been back into the mainstream probably for the last 4 years, and I got on stage at Lakeland. We did an open mic we did with Winter Circle North over there in Lakeland, and Mr. Mike Lee was hosting the show. And the second time I went up, he introduced me as the man of many voices. So I feel that the best nicknames are the ones that other people give you, and so I just slowly started to embrace that as a title because he was kind enough to actually tag me with one that was not an ugly one.
Shout out to Lakeland, Florida. Bill Kilpatrick just started some rooms.
Good friend of mine.
Yeah, and he's done Gladiator a few times. And I love that guy, but it's funny because we went Friday night. I went just to support him. It was his grand opening rooms, which he says he was inspired by our rooms over here. So I'm super stoked about that. I'm proud that he got it going. So we went out there, and the first room he had, which was last Friday night, I went to support the People's Champ Jesse Shadouse, one of our local comics. He was one of the opening acts. It was at the Lakeland Pulse nightclub, which is the gay club. Okay. Again, I look at everything from a business perspective, and I love Bill Kilpatrick, and I especially love his story about being with his Mormon background. So we rolled up into the gay club, no gay comics. I'm like, really? Awesome. So then he's like, hey, you want to go up? I'm like, no. But I did anyway. So literally, it was so funny because I watched Bill go up and open, and then I watched each comic go up, and it was like there was just nothing. I mean, there was just no connection. And not saying I had any better connection. I literally was like, all right, gentlemen, I'm going to go get ate up in the grinder. I'll be back. Because you kind of sometimes go into that situation. And it was funny because my opening joke is Butchie Dykes in the room has been hitting on me all night, asking me where I get my dress, because I get all dressed up and stuff. So, Bill Kilpatrick, shout out Bill Kilpatrick, and shout out Pulse Lakeland. I'm going to tell y'all something, though, just, again, detail. Call me, I got people, we'll come out and buff your floors, because they need a little, but anyways. So, all right, so... Lakeland, is that where you're down? You live down Lakeland way?
Well, I'm a Zephyr Hillbilly.
Okay,
Zephyr Hills. So I do, when I perform, I usually have to travel one way or the other. I spend time in Tampa as well as in like.
I'll be coming down to Tampa next week. First time I'm gonna stay down there for like 4 or 5 days, 6 days, and just go every night. Because I told my buddy who I grew up with,
There's something every night going
I said,
on.
I'm squatting. He's like, how long? I said, I don't know. He's like, well, my kids are there Tuesday, Wednesday, so you have to sleep on the couch. Otherwise, you can have the sun's bed. I said, no problem. I'll be there.
Yep.
So I'm coming out a week from tonight and going out there to see what's up.
All right.
Because I joke, I tell Zobo laugh too, because it's like when you go to the Facebook page for the Orlando comedy scene, and since there's a lot of young mics, when I say young mics, Valencia College, UCF, a lot of young rooms, young open mics, coffee houses, Austin's Coffee, shout out Sunday night, Drunken Monkey Friday, Saturday, excellent rooms, but the demographic is different than what I'm accustomed to. I like to go there now just to try to remember what it's like to get all age groups to laugh. And I pick on them a lot, but especially since it's like literally making a young room laugh is like going for the like the lowest common denominator. So while I'm in the middle of telling the joke about my dad being Cuban and my mom being German, I just throw in like a fart joke, or I'll yell cocaine, and they all laugh.
Yeah, and they all laugh.
And then the few adults, like the guy who owns the bar that I'm usually sitting in, he'll laugh when I actually tell the joke about my dad being Cuban and my mom being German. So, but with that being said, when you look at the fan pages and you see the ads, so in Orlando you'll get an ad and they're like cerebral. They maybe have like a Hobbit theme, or they'll have like some sort. And then you go to Tampa and it's like a black dude with gold teeth and 245s and a pit bull. Come laugh, motherfucker. And I'm like, damn, I can't wait to go to that room. I cannot wait to go, because I'm telling you, man, if I see another pair of flip-flops, I'm going to lose my fucking mind. So I'm looking forward to meeting the black people in Tampa, as well as the immigrants, the imports, and the white folk. I'm coming for you, bitch asses.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I enjoy a lot of those guys out there, because sometimes I feel like the Jim Carrey of the group sometimes when I'm out there, and there's a lot of funny ones out there, and variety. And every crowd is different. Like
listen, I've gotten more paid gigs from urban rooms than I have away. I mean, I don't know why. They always reach out to me. I'm a house comic at one of these places, and I'll take you once we get everything established. It's shout out Thomas Mosley, Diamond Sports Bar. It's just a great room. It's super urban, and on top of that, I jokingly say the way, and it's probably, so you grew up in one place for a long time?
I pretty much grew up in Brandon.
Okay, so great wrestling program, Brandon High School, because I wrestled in high school.
Armwood High School, first year graduate there. Football.
So, I love football. Hey, we repping South. I embrace the fact that we're the outlaws. We're the ones where the cops find us walking naked on 40. I was not a fan of bath salts, but I wasn't surprised that it came from Florida. The fact that the villages have all the STDs, I love it. Yeah. I love it. So the point is,
we've got it all here in Florida.
So I jokingly say that Ocala is like, pretend in a really abstract way, Ocala is New York City. So to the east of it is a little town that's like the Long Island. It's called the Shores. So for the and that's where I went to school back in 92. So fast forward to today, and all this time, progress has been running through these little urban and suburban towns. Everybody's up to date with the technology, but not everybody is looks like everybody else. So you go out here to the Shores, and it's like they've become their own thing. So it's like you got these crazy dreadlocks, gold teeth, camouflage. They all look like they smell something bad. But then when you get in the other side of the wall, it's like Sunday morning church barbecue. They're like, "You want something to eat? Come on, sit down. I just made this." Super nice people.
Yes.
And the thing that when I was telling Zobo, when I was coming up, I had a list of things that I was scared of. Black people, drugs, anything other than Christian. There was no such thing as transgender. It was all just faggots back then. And I hated them all. I had to be, and I grew up in a small church, and they meant well. But now I've grown up, and I'm like, well, you know what? Everybody has a story. Everyone has the same problems every day. So now this show, I'm trying to shed light, as I'm talking to a white dude, I'm trying to shed light on this list and be like, hey guys, the drug culture might be misunderstood. Yes, people are going off. Yes, there are some things you don't need to be getting into. But yes, there are some misunderstandings where they put the wrong thing in the wrong place and when it shouldn't have been a drug. And that's just with my whole, I'm a big weed head, I'm a big proponent of medical marijuana, but I'm not really a proponent of medical marijuana. I'm promoting the fact that we should be able to smoke something that comes out of the ground that we can make. It grows in the desert, it grows in the forest, it grows in the south, and it grows in the north. You know what I mean? So it's like, what the hell?
Yeah. Now, I have to tell you, I don't smoke it, but I have a lot of friends that do.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to lie to you because, when it comes to the secondhand, I'm not like
This
Bill
is just
Clinton.
tobacco.
I don't say. I'm just saying in general, and so I have the second hand, around a lot. So I'm not gonna be like, Bill Clinton. I'm not, I did inhale when it comes to the second hand. So
now the question is that one of the voices that had to get retired because
no,
people don't get it?
actually, Bill, let's get back. One of the ones that retired is actually Ronald Reagan, because back when we were debating the wall, I brought Reagan back, and I had a very young crowd. And of course, they know who Ronald Reagan is, but when I say, Mr. Obama, build up that wall, it's over their head. They don't remember that.
Tonight,
tear down that wall.
Right, tonight you can do it.
Yes.
You can dust out some of
Yes.
the old.
I can get some of the old stuff out.
What was it, Mr. Ed? All that shit.
Yeah.
These people here.
I can. No limits tonight.
I remember the first time because I have two millennials. I own two of their species. It's one of my bits. So I have two daughters, 21 and 18, and soldiers. They're both in college. I'm very proud of them. They're doing great. Super brilliant. Top 3%, both of them in the nation for academics. Airheaded as fuck. I mean, just all the time I'm hearing like that, the phone call, hey dad, do I have to wait for the 5 years or when it hits 60,000 to get that first oil change? I'm like, no baby, you get free oil changes up to 5 years. So, I mean, it's just like, woo, but I mean, like she doesn't,
Right.
So the thing is, and I love them, but the thing is, I really saw that there was this weird gap happening because I made a Boo Boo reference, like Yogi and Boo Boo, and the young person, the adult that was working for me in my department had no clue. Like they didn't understand Boo. They're like, "Who's Boo Boo?" And I'm like, and I actually turned around to the other side of the counter and I said, "This young man doesn't know who Boo Boo is," and everybody's like, "What?"
Yeah.
So
it's like me walked up to kids going, "Yeah, what's up, Doc?" They're like, but if I go, "Hello, how are you?" And it's Elmo. They love it. Elmo's timeless. I can still use Elmo.
Elmo, that's funny.
Yeah,
that's great.
Yeah,
because I was at. In my career as a department manager in the corporate that will remain nameless, I used to tell people I was a Tickle Me Elmo doll because there was a moment in time when I was the hottest thing going. And then when that time passed, I was put on a shelf, and people would come by a couple years later and be like, "Hey, I remember you. You were hot that one year." Yeah, so I'm back over here on the shelf. Elmo likes to be tickled. Yeah, right.
Yeah,
that's pretty fun. So,
and I actually learned Elmo was like from my having kids. It's one of those voices because. Never said, "Hey, I'm gonna learn to do Elmo." I was watching my daughter when she's about to be 16. That's the baby.
That's why he's got all the gray hairs. He's actually like in his 30s. But the kids, 16. I got two older boys, but she's the baby. But when she was little, we called her name. She'd ignore. You couldn't get her attention for nothing. But when the TV was on, and as soon as Elmo came on, she just got up, walked right in front of the TV, and was just totally glued to it. So one day I just decided to try it. I was like, "Hello, Samantha, will you come talk to me?" And she got up and started talking to me. Ever since then, I've done Elmo. Awesome.
But it starts with the kids, just.
So what's your okay? So you have a red skull and you do a lot of voices. So how does that come together?
Well, they're separate acts. This actually was an idea I had many years ago. When I lived in Valrico. I was walking around with my ex-wife one night during Halloween. Valrico's near Brandon, out that way, and I'm walking around and people are building scare houses and they're scaring. And I was just getting into comedy, kind of more.
The voice is a nut for scary stuff.
and I got this idea, getting into comedy. I was like, I should dress up and make fun of costumes and just be different. And I started thinking in my mind, I said, I could build this robotic skeleton to do it. And it was right after Red Skelton passed away. And I thought, and I could name it Red Skeleton as a tribute. So it's all kind of tied in together. But I never did it. Didn't really have the funds, didn't have the time. Well, I moved to Zephyr Hills and walking with the girlfriend and her neighborhood. She's talking about like her father and stepmom come over every Halloween and they like to set up in the driveway and scare the kids. I'm like, you have a lot of trick-or-treaters? She goes, oh, they come by the carloads. And I said, I'm building Red Skeleton. And so I actually got the skull one day in the mail. And I was going up to Side Splitters and meeting a friend up there, because he was going to help me with the project. And so he and I went into the comedy show, and I took the skull with me and I set it on the table. And I could tell the headliner wanted to say something, but he's looking at a guy sitting there with a skull staring at him, and he would no, I'm not going to do that. No, I'm not. Yeah, and I'm sitting, I'm waiting for something. I'm like waiting for something to come out. I could tell he was scared to go there. He just let it go.
Oh, I'd have jumped your ass.
And then
what the hell? You got on the table?
No, he was scared. He didn't know where it was going. So, but BT over at Side Splitters had mentioned, he saw it. And I started telling him what I was going to do. And he's like, well, if you have it done in time for Halloween, you should come put it on stage. So I have a video at www.redskeleton.com. It was his very first outing on stage. It was done right there at Side Splitters. And so thank you, Side Splitters and Brian, for giving me that opportunity.
And where's Side Splitters?
It's in Tampa, Carrollwood area. And it's one of the best places to see comedy in Tampa. And as well as he gives opportunities for all the young comedians.
Well, I'm not young, but I'll be coming for your ass soon.
But they're good people there. And so I put it on stage, and it's got a lot of good feedback. It's going to a total rebuild now, so that's why I have just the head, but it is a full body skeleton.
How many people don't get the reference?
Actually, you'd be surprised. JB Ball? Mm-hmm. He was in the video that I have online, and he kind of gave it some tributes at the end of the video. But after I had cut the video, he looked at me, he goes, why Red Skeleton? And I'm like, well, Red Skeleton. And he's like, well, I know it's red, but why Red Skeleton?
So he didn't get it.
And he didn't get it. And I had flashbacks to years ago. I worked for a barcode scanning company over in Brandon, and I had a guy that moved from Mobile over here. He was a young kid back then. I was still relatively young, like late 20s. And he come in and he started getting into the record scratching. And he was going
the record scratching. That's some white man shit right there.
Old school stuff.
You know that they're record scratching?
Yeah,
Go ahead,
I had to say it because you have to understand.
Go ahead, Brandon.
You have to understand, this guy's from Mobile, Alabama, and when he came and discovered Ybor City back when Ybor City first started, that's why I have to call it spinning record scratchings. That's what he called it.
Right.
So here he is calling it his record scratching, and that was right after Jam Master Jay passed away.
Right.
And so I came up to him and I'm like,
you're killing it with some old school shit.
I go way back. I go way back, I was one of the first white guys that liked Run DMC in the first place.
I saw him in concert in 87.
As did I.
Lakeland Civic Center.
Yes. And I used that as reference. I was there.
I was actually there, to be honest with you. I was there for the Beastie Boys, but I killed them.
Yes. We were there for the white group, but the other guys.
My mom took me. I was like 10 years old. My mom. Yeah. Well, let me see. I was 87. I was 75. I was 11 years old. Went there, and my mom had no idea. Oh.
But this kid comes up here, and I go, did you hear Jam Master Jay passed away? And he's like, who's that? And the first thing I can think of is, you spin records,
right? And
you don't know who Jam Master Jay is. If you're going to do the craft, study the craft.
Right, yeah.
You
got to know your work.
You got to know who paved the roads,
right.
and so that's the first thing I thought. I love JB. He's a funny guy. He's going places. He's one Florida's funniest. But when he said that, I'm like, JB, you don't know who Red Skeleton is. And I'm like, but he's a young guy. It goes back to being youth, and so because I barely remember Red Skeleton because I was a kid when he.
No, he was before us.
He was before us, but we were
Boomerang or some old black and white.
But he was still.
No, he wasn't black and white. He was your era, wasn't he?
He was on TV probably when I was preteen.
Are you mic'd up?
Still, yeah.
Okay, so Bricks and Mortar is the voice. He's one of my two business partners, and he handles the visual. Mm-hmm. And he's one of these motherfuckers that can tear apart a microwave and turn it into something where a skull will do this. So he has this crazy. So I'm sure he's enjoying this conversation. But we did this little open mic that you're going to now. We drug all his stuff on because he has the fucking driveway that scares kids. That's and sadly, he's like one of 5 or 6 in 10 miles that does that anymore. Old school shit. Mm-hmm. So he's like, and though his stuff is built tremendous, he doesn't move it like on a trailer. It goes from the back warehouse to the front and then back to the metal building. So we're trying to, and everything's styrofoam because it's light to move around. So we're trying to move all this stuff, and I'm so nervous because we have to move it. It's only a couple miles, but trailers bumping around. But we have this crazy. Everything moved. I have pictures, but I try not to. I don't want anyone opening up their phones while we're on our show. So I'd be like, look at it, look.
Yeah.
Don't worry, Universe, you'll see it later.
That's why I left mine in the truck, so I wasn't tempted. Because I might start Facebooking while he's talking,
The neatest thing about, and I'm going to be telling this to everyone who inspires me. You sound like a person who should have, at the very least, an audio podcast.
No, I don't.
It literally costs like $25 to start an audio podcast, just so you know. Mm-hmm. But the thing is to build that that build your social media, they will fall in love with you as a person who has the opinion, and they will come support you and buy your merchandise and support you because they love you. Because I did not get here, and when I say here, I mean that Fair, the Mankind's Got Talent, and Jackie Nice, and what little that's been happening is like blowing my mind. I didn't get there because I'm this fucking great comedian. I literally am getting there because people are more interested in the whole picture.
Package.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I mean, it's just but go ahead. So
Yeah.
Red Skelton, the black guy didn't know who it was.
Yeah.
Some bitch needs to get a history lesson. And then what? You started after that show?
Yeah, then I started doing a show. I did the trick or treaters in front of the house, of course, and then in front of the house, I didn't tell jokes. The video, I'm just telling corny Halloween jokes because I finished him that day.
Right. It's always that day.
It's that day,
Yeah.
and I'm more worried about his head falling off the neck and working on in the middle of the show. It did hold together, and so I didn't really have time to write material, so I just threw out a bunch of corny Halloween jokes. But when I got in front of the house, one thing I was amazed at was I started telling jokes, and then it just became. I just started interacting with them, just being a character and
Working the room.
and working the street room. It was a big room, but it was working, and it just some experiences with. I mean, people come out doing the selfies with it, and probably the highlight. And I wish I had the nose camera on at the time. There's a little 2-year-old girl that was walking. It was like one of the few quiet times I had that night, and I had the mom and the dad and the little girl walking on the other side of the street from where he was standing, and she looked terrified. And as she got across, she started like grabbing, and grabbing her dad's hand, and I went, "Hello, how are you?" She dropped her dad's hand, walked right up to him, and went,
Hilarious.
and I'm like, "Oh, I wish I would have had that on camera
That's
just to see that
would've been
transition."
that would have been a great promo.
Yeah, and I just
I was
realized
looking at everything from the perspective of the promoter.
it's like it's one of those things I missed out on. It's like, oh, because that'll never happen. You know how it is. You have that great moment. Every crowd's different, and those moments don't happen. You'll get new moments,
Right.
But that moment is not going to happen
Right.
again.
Right. No doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt. So it's awesome. So so after that you did that, and now has he been on the road? Have you?
Not yet.
When I say on the road, I
Yeah.
mean like, does he go to some of these mics?
He will be in the near future. I actually have a new 3D printout that's for the head. It actually took 120 hours on the printer to build.
Oh, a 3D.
With a 3D printer.
Oh,
and so I'm doing it right.
Did you buy a 3D printer?
I did not, but I have a guy
So did you dabble with it?
I dabble with it some.
But you just
But
told him what you
I
wanted?
had too much, right.
Now,
And,
not to get in your business, but was that real expensive?
actually, he's very fair priced. I mean, I paid money. The first place I took it to said we wanted $2,000 to get a camera and scan it, and we want $2,000 to build it. And I'm like, oh, I don't have that kind of money, And so
And this guy's in town?
It's 3D Musketeers. He's in Wesley Chapel. He's on Facebook.
That's not as far.
Yeah, it's not that far.
Well, I want to try
He
to
makes
get-
really good stuff.
I'd be
He's very
really interested
reasonable.
in talking to him.
He's a St. Leo University graduate. This is my first project with him, but I will be doing more, on as we grow. But the new skull is going to be totally different. A new neck design. I'm trying to keep a similar look to it. It's not going to have the cap anymore, so it's going to be a full solid.
Now, is that like a 4 servo or a 5?
This has multiple servos. This has 2 big ones in the neck movement, but the eyes move, the mouth moves.
Yeah, because you got the sub, but do you have the...
It goes up and down,
Up and
side
down,
to side.
side to side.
And
Does it
the
do this?
new one will do this too.
Ah, cool.
It's going to have the full motion, and it's going to work with my head. So it's going to only do crazy things because on the show, side splitters and the following year I did it again on stage. And when I make the jokes, usually if I'm picking on someone in the audience, they laugh, but then they turn around and look at me like this. Well, the next time I do it, they're going to look, and there's not going to be anybody
Can
there.
you do it from the inside of a car if you were parked next to an open tent?
I could do it probably in a car as long as the range covers.
We should have him headline
Well,
this.
are you using-
I could be in the next room.
Are you using the head-on imaging or using the one that...
This is going to be the glasses, the goggles.
The glasses, the
like
goggles
they use in
one now.
Like they use in the planes when they fly in the drones for the camera scan. It's going to be hooked up to the servos for his head.
Maybe we can get it organized. We'll have him headline for Halloween the 2.
Yeah, I'm really interested in the goggle
Yeah.
thing because I'm used to...
Everybody loves a skeleton, and if he's not available, they look at me. Well, can you do it then?
Well, no. Well, I'm only thinking in terms of the
Right.
of the
Yeah.
Halloween theme. Plus, like I said, I think it would kill. We'll get great footage of both rooms because I do all the rooms that as I get them, we're gonna do them all in high res. Yeah. And then, like I said, he loves this shit, so he'll have a great time with it too.
And when the new body is going to be a little more stable than what I had. The one in the video is just a Halloween decoration, and this year, unfortunately, the body was totally gone and not usable. No more patchwork. So the new one will be a lot more sturdy to go with the new head. Also, I'm trying to make it so that the entire skeleton the platform can drive on stage, so I don't even have to go on stage anymore. I'll be able to drive it from behind a curtain.
Have you thought about using a Bucky?
What's Bucky?
A Bucky skeleton.
Oh, actually, that's what I'm kind of using. This is actually a Bucky skull, now that you mentioned. I had to carve it out and everything, but the new one is a full 3D. But the Bucky skeleton frame is basically what I'm working with.
There's a couple of guys in Wesley Chapel. Okay, I have one lady who's going to be on the show. We're waiting for this, and her thing is she can do that 3D for realtors, and she's a hustler. So what I like about her is I remember a year ago we were both looking at each other as friends. We were going, well, what's the next move for both of us? Because she was a realtor and I owned my own business back in 08 and the economy tanked. And we're like, what are we going to do? And so she figured this stuff out. She actually went and bought the first one on her own, just like my boy did with that drone camera, just like you're doing. And so anyways, fast forward to today, she's like, now she's all over Middle America. They done sent her and she's doing this big thing, big baller. She's going to be coming on the show. But so I can pick a Facebook realtor from a mile away because of that perfect, exact, okay? Yeah. So I'm like, and I also did this thing. I was very new to social media. I kind of avoided it for this long because it's not business, and I don't believe in putting my personal shit out there. If you're my homeboy, you already know. You come up with some weird shit when you're like, oh, I don't know why I want to get up today. I tell you, motherfucker, stop putting this shit out in the open. What are you, crazy? Hello? So they showed me 3 things. That's a joke. They showed me 3 things to do on Facebook and then left me to my own devices. And in like 8 weeks, I had 5,000 followers and maxed out. So in Wesley Chapel, I'm going through and I see realtors. They're here for business. I don't know if they're going to be in it. But in Wesley Chapel, this realtor picture comes up, and it's these 2 dudes wearing these white tuxedos with white crazy hair. And I was like, request. I don't know you, but you're interesting. You look like somebody that might be like, I want to know what you're about. Right. So like I said, and the trick is, because this is home base, but I can promote these shows directly into your area. So that's the thing that's interesting with the way we're doing it. I will be able to machine gun shows into certain demographics. So that realtor company, it'll be worth it for them to come here. So that they can then turn around and machine gun, because once you get those 3 things that I sent you, you can and just go off. So I'm actually going to chase those bitches just because. You got to get them on here. I got another dude that I picked up, and I don't even know what the fuck he does. RJ Cummins, motherfucker. I don't think I forgot about your ass. I literally saw him. He has this thing where every day for 90 days he does a random act of kindness. And I don't know how with this massive friend requesting thing, but he looks like Tatum Chatting. What the hell is his name? That guy, that actor. He looks just like, he's so handsome. I'm straight as an arrow. And I'm like, dude, you're really good looking. Are you single? He's like, yeah. I'm like, I need you on my show for the women demographic.
You go to the gay bar with him?
No, but I'm literally going to be like, look at the man candy, ladies, as soon as he gets here. And then, so now I'm chasing his ass. So these Wesley Chapel boys, I'm chasing their asses too. So the fact that you say that there's because I don't have anything to hire him for, but I'm really interested in the business and I want him on the show. He's got a passion for it. So that's gangster shit, man. You've got this. Okay, so that's cool. So now you've got this new animal truck. It sounds to me like it's going to be open and shut. Like it's going to be bad to the bone.
It's coming. And on top of that,
because it also seems to me that you don't even have to be a red skeleton. You could have mannequins come out and different things, and you can do their voices and stuff.
Yeah. Well, I do most of the voices myself on my act. His will be a little bit different. His is just going to be more. I might do some. Depends on how far I get kicked to the curb.
No. I mean, if you're in another room doing his show, you could even have like Reagan, Trump, if down the road, if this becomes, and then you can have them all talking to each other, and you're doing all the voices. But it's just like, it seems to me that would be an easy promotional. Like you could walk into. I mean, once you get in here in the
village, I guess Jeff Dunham started with one dummy.
But
I guess one skeleton could just be the start.
But I just think it's crazy because, like I said, everybody that I see, all I do is fit them to the villages. And I could so picture all those things that you retired, those voices you retired, and you put them on with, like, even if you had like a silly Halloween mask face,
on each one,
that'd be hilarious. Awesome.
Actually, that's good. I like that.
Yeah, mental note.
He's going to get me with royalties later. Okay.
Yeah, right. No doubt. No, actually, I don't give a shit. The funniest thing when Anzia, shout out Anzia Sky for Anzia Magazine, she came and we did the article, and I tell you that it was like 20-minute interview, and I send it out. So before that interview, I had the nerve to say, hey man, I'd love to MC down here in West Palm. If you give me some gas money, I'd be happy to come down there and do it. And they're like, peasant, you have to put in your time. You have to drive. It comes out of your pocket. And I was like, oh damn, So then I was like, well, I would rather just do it here locally. So when I came to my retirement point, I made it a thing when I was on the interview with her. I said, look, I don't want to get paid for the entire year of 2018. I said, I'm going to donate everything that I do so that way I can build relationships with people. So 300,000 readers. She has 300,000 monthly readers. I can get you on the show. We'll just get you booked because she does a thing with, I'm like the guy who finds her talent to do the all arts. So she never had a comedy part. So now she's like, oh my God. And then I'm going to let her use this stage to do her interviews for free. Everything's just because of what? Because I'll be right here waiting for her to get done so I can sit down and interview whoever she's got.
Right.
So the whole thing is 300,000 readers. So I get phone calls. Listen, we saw your interview on Anzia Sky Magazine, blah, blah, blah. We would love to have you. Can you come out February? The bill pays $200. And I'm like, well, if you saw my interview, and you were impressed by it, you then realize that I'm not charging for next year, right? I'll come and do it for free. They're like, yeah, we saw that. That's stupid. We're going to pay you anyways. So it's like, what an interesting business model. I come out there and say, I don't want to get paid for anything. And then I went to this room free. And then I've had I catch a lot of these young guys that are like promoters. That are like, oh, I can promote for X amount of money. We do social media promotions. So a lot of guys have come through my room and they're like, you need a better room. And I'm like, nah, player, I don't need a better room. I just need another room because this room has magic. I mean, do you know Eric Dowis?
Yes. Yes.
I always bust his balls because Eric Dowis came here before the show. And he comes up, and I know his performance is like a Larry the Cable Guy-esque, no offense. It's just a redneck, cowboy hat show. He shows up, he's got hoop earrings, a golf shirt. Comes in, he sits down, he's all articulate. We have this amazing meeting about, because I'm meeting him like I meet you. We're having this meeting, he has bipolar, how to deal with bipolar, he got an agent, what is about an agent, how he got into business, amazing, right? We go to the fucking bar, OBI, and he keeps going, I'll go on last, and he's having a beer and drinking. Then he goes up, murders, because he's a fucking assassin, gets down, and he's like, woo! Let's go podcast. And I'm like, what? And he's like, come on. So I'm dragging him around, changing the discs out. He comes up here and off the rails for 3.5 hours. Was just going deep. Never did anything that was embarrassing to his brand or anything, but just going deep. And so the joke was Eric Dowis interviewed before the show and Dale interviewed after the show. And it's epic because it literally ended with Eric going, and that's what I think about. He passed out on stage. So I literally had to carry him into the back room. And I had to be to work. I didn't know he was coming back to podcast more. And it was technically my last day working at the corporate job that I had. So I threw him in there at 3 a.m. Then I had to be to work at 6. I left a note on the inside of my door, please lock up on your way out. I don't know you. So now we're real good friends. So now me and Eric hang out and shit. But the point is, like he was like, bro, that was so therapeutic. So it's like, dude, and when he passed out on stage, I go, that's fucking podcasting universe. Damn it, man, that's what we're here for.
Rock and roll, baby.
Because if you know Eric, you will never see that. He's a very contained individual, and he had great fun. And it was great therapy for him. So, I mean, we've had radical, and Eric's going to come back. And the thing is when he becomes, he's already a big deal. When he becomes that next echelon, he's going to come back around. At the very least, he's going to call me up and be like, yo, I'm coming into town. We're going to do it where he can Skype in. So he'll be able to, and I'm looking at that over here, and I won't sit, so we can have the interview to promote, and then I can put, content on my site and everything else. So So what's next for, you got them coming, then we're going to put them on the road?
And it's going to hit the road. I'm going to build a casket for him that's going to be a double purpose. It's going to be storage and also transport. So when I'm going down to gigs or down the road, I might even go to Comic-Con, sit on the sidewalk on the side and just mess with people.
I don't know if you're interested, but you can actually get a $20 permit to be a performance artist on the street, and you'll probably make more money.
Yeah, I will say,
You'll probably make more money on the hat than you will.
I'll be next to that guy at the Lightning game who's playing the buckets, and then I'll be down the road
with the
making fun of everybody wearing the other team's jerseys.
There you go. You'd be surprised. Look, I had a guy open for me at that big fairgrounds. He's a performance artist who has this plastic drum that's turned sideways, has trash cans on it and a cymbal, and while he performs, and he has horns around him, so like if you're walking by while he's beating, he'll pull the horn out and make fun of you while you're the way you step and stuff. Well, as he performs, he's spinning around, he's walking around this thing, beating on it, he takes his clothes off. So at the end of the performance, he's wearing these little tighty whities, and he's got a great body, but he's a Florida State master musician graduate. He makes more money doing performance arts over on iDrive than he does doing gigs and shows.
You have to learn how to play that guitar.
Right.
Yeah,
that skeleton motherfucker.
Make me some money. I tell you.
He's a bag of bones.
Yeah.
So, okay, so let's see. Who, what, where, when, why? Why did you do it? Why?
It was just a challenge, like I said.
But was there something in you that always felt like you needed to talk to people? Or did you feel like you had something? Were you always into, like, did you do sales? Like, what made you feel like?
I've always done sales. I have a diverse, I have a technical background. I've done sales. I've done a little bit of everything. But most of us, as far as the comedy side, I really do this to entertain myself.
Right.
And
were you a clown in high school?
I was the quiet smartass.
Right.
There was a lot of people now that say, they see me doing comedy, they're like, I never thought you'd be a comedian. You were so quiet in school. I said, you don't remember all the smart-ass remarks I made because, I didn't talk a lot, but when I did, it was usually...
A lot of people that tell me, they're like, well, we didn't think, or we always kind of felt like you were funny, like it wasn't a big shock.
Right.
To me, I'm shocked as shit. Like, I'm like ridiculous. Like, if you had come to me 2 years ago when I was a corporate guy, happily doing my corporate life, and told me that I was going to voluntarily leave to pursue a stand-up comedy / whatever the fuck I'm doing, never in a million years. Right. So,
I was on a class reunion a while back, and we were on a dinner cruise, and I did a little small performance. And I sat down. In fact, one of the guys, or the guy that used to call me the man of 1,000 voices, was sitting there. And as soon as I sat down at the table, he goes, and we used to get this shit for free.
Well, I tell you something else too, because again, as a promoter, and I jokingly say I'm from South Marion County. We were here before here was here, so I was here before the Villages was here, and we were AKA South Marion County bitches, because we were a small town. All we did was drink and fuck. That's my my bit. So
and tip cows.
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, mushrooms, homegrown, all that stuff, and there's these weird little things because of the Villages. So like, if you outside of the Villages, there's these big RV campgrounds, right? But they're not like a shitty campground because they support the Villages. So you have these people pull in with these $250,000 pull behinds, and they rack up for the season. All of these campgrounds have these 200-seat rec centers. All of them are looking for things to do. So I'm devising, I think you'd be perfect for it, so I'm glad we met, because I think you'd be great for the gig. I'm devising, like, I want to do an RV park tour and name it and call it and promote it like that, and we're going to hit, because there's one right across the street, it's gorgeous. There's Bluebird right around Lady Lake, and you can go to Wildwood, there's a COA, and then there's one, it just surrounds. See what I'm saying? So like, it would be a fun gig, be super fun. It wouldn't be a ton of money, but we're getting in there.
Well, like I said, I do it just to entertain myself. I get paid and people laugh with me. It's all welcome.
Oh, that's good. But like I said, I think this would be a big hit. And the other thing too, because realistically, I can't always get my way, so we will probably have to do PG shows, because those will probably be like a 8 o'clock family hour thing, So this would be hilarious. So
so once the new version is going to be more than Halloween, it's going to be year-round. Hitter. So
I think it'd be awesome.
Like I said, he might end up kicking me to the curb.
We're also like, I got the VFW stuff lined up. I'm working on some VFW stuff. I'm working on the RV stuff. and then the shows that I'm just basically walking up to theaters and saying, and it's amazing how, and again, this is the thing where I talk about the youth, because I haven't been to Tampa, but when you go to these open mics and stuff, and there's a politics, like every comic that I interview says there's no right way to do anything. In fact, everybody's had a different way of getting into it. It seems to me that you're telling me you have a technical background. Well, if you're building animatronics, I would guess you got a 3D printer. It's your first animatronics robot. The fuck. So the thing is like, I don't have time to be discovered, especially when the people they're asking, so who do you think? They're all, like, I would go in there, get there 30, 45 minutes early, be third on the list, and go up 25th. That kind of shit, like, I don't have time for that.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So, now that I'm doing it on this end, like I said, I see it a lot easier from the business end of it, and to host the shows, promote the shows, because the other side of the coin is going to be the live podcast. There's a whole nother universe where you got these huge fucking comedy shows that are basically, the people are selling it out so that two guys who have a show on the internet can come and talk to you, and the guests come up.
Right.
So my idea is to have, like, coming up next, Mikey and Red Skelton, and he'll come up, but you will, like, basically you'll do a set for like 5-7 minutes in front of everybody, and we'll talk with you, but not climbing over your act.
Right.
And then you'll come and sit down like you're one of the guests on Johnny Carson.
Right.
But by the time each person comes up, the show will then be packed. We'll be finishing it off with a group conversation, then question and answer. Thank you all, everybody. Good night. And $25 a head includes dinner.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And there's a bunch of beautiful restaurants that would support that. So all we got to do is, that's what all this is about.
Well, we know the series booming.
I've got 8 minutes. So no, actually I got 13 minutes, but I'm gonna give you the opportunity now. We're gonna finish up with, I'm gonna say thank you for all that, blah, 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 and then we're gonna do the message to the universe. That way we can wrap that up, and then we can head over and get this party started at the bar and kill it tonight.
Party it.
So
I promise I won't pass out.
Right. Me too.
I'm not that old and I'm not that young.
See, I'm an out of the closet non-alcoholic. I don't drink.
Yeah.
So it's very odd for me that I'm running all these bars and shit. But it's also great because I'm weirdly narcoleptic, so I don't need a lot to sleep, so I can go up all night, party.
Yep.
And they think I'm raising hell.
I don't need the energy drink.
So, all right. So, thank you so much for coming out. When this podcast launches, when this episode launches, as I told you, you'll get those 3 items, and we'll get your social media, and we'll link it to the site so that anybody who's interested, like I said, promoters and all kinds of people, are going to be using this as an access to help grab talent in this area. A lot of places that I'm finding it's going on is they're flying talent in. Like, there's this weird thing that people don't even know about, like, a couple of very big comics that are currently on BET will get flown in, and they'll get like a round trip ticket plus $100 to perform at this one place up the street, and then they fly in on Friday, they fly out on Sunday, so they drop in here, they get the ticket and $100, then they shoot down that night, they leave, they head down to either Tampa or Miami, they'll do gig, one last gig Sunday night, jump on the plane, they head back. Basically, when it's good, it's great. Like, if you're in front of the camera, you make a little bit more money that week. But a lot of these guys are having to trade out. They're trading out a 9-to-5, $35,000 a year job for a gypsy life, flying around. You might get $2,000, but $1,200 of it goes to flights.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So when it's all said and done, everybody has to have their hustle. So all I'm trying to do is give it to I'm telling these guys, why are you flying people in? Not that I don't want them to eat, but you've got all this talent that lives here. Oh, we didn't even know they were here. Well, no shit.
Yeah,
if you're flying somebody down from Baltimore and you have Gina G and Eric Dowis and all these big comics and you and me and everybody else.
Tampa and Orlando's full of good talent.
Right. So we're going to be getting all that squared away. So this universe will be launching in January. I want to thank you real quick for coming out. Now, this is the time where we're archiving the message to the universe. 5 generations from now, if China doesn't, take us over and or the melt cap, the polar ice caps don't melt and all the nitrogen from all the dead woolly mammoths don't eat us alive, or a fucking asteroid doesn't kill us, your great grandkids will be able to look back and hear the message that you have for them, and you might want to tell the world something that somebody might be able to catch. Somebody out there is going to hear it, and they're going to take that and they'll be like, I'm going to grow from that. So, and it could be 1 sentence, it could be 5 sentences, it could be 20 minutes. But the reality is most of my guests have said, well, they'll call me afterwards and be like, I'm coming for you on that message universe. I'll be more prepared next time. You kind of pulled me on me the first time, but I got something for your ass the next time.
Okay.
So here's your time to shine, man. You
right.
take your time to tell your message to the universe.
Well,
and thanks again for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me here. And I just want to get serious for a moment because, we're going to New Year's. It's right around the corner. And last year, we had, the election. And the two choices we had, we had Trump and Hillary. And that doesn't look good for America. And I think Americans have gotten stupid. So my message is, let's wake up. The party's not going to save us. The American people are going to save us. And so the generations coming up, they're forgetting what freedom is. They need to stop giving away their freedoms. Stop getting drunk on the Kool-Aid that's being fed from either side. Use your brains. Use your brains. Because this is one of the things that kind of drives me. I don't get political much on my comedy. Sometimes I touch on it. But it's my big concern to the universe in today's world. In that, I'm a Christian myself. And, I've got gay friends. Some of my Christian friends don't like that. They'll chastise me. Some of my gay friends are kind of think it's odd that I'm friends with them. But it's like this. We're all sinners. And I have problems with the Christians that are hating.
Right.
That's a sin itself. And we have a lot of hate in this world. Racism. It's hate. It divides us. That's all it is. It's hate. There's black races. There's white races. Why are we hating each other?
That's right.
Why? I'm not the free love hippie, but I don't like hate. And it's dividing all of us. It's making us all stupid. And so let's just start enjoying each other. That's what you're doing here. You're bringing in different characters. You see people that are interesting. Bring them in here. I just want to know what this person's about. Listen to each other. Love isn't, sexual. Love is just enjoying time and our differences. Our differences is what makes us different from everybody else. There's nothing wrong with differences.
Right.
If we're all the same, it's kind of boring.
Right.
So if everybody did voices, it'd be boring. If everybody did, puppets, it'd be boring. It's the differences that makes life interesting. So
awesome.
I just ask that everybody just starts using your brain, start enjoying each other, and get rid of the hate.
Do you know who Chris Stapleton is, the singer? He was on Shout Out My Guru, Joe Rogan. I'm coming for your ass. You're going to be on my show one day. But he had Chris
Your
Stapleton
name's coming
on.
up a lot.
He had Chris Stapleton on last night. And Chris Stapleton doesn't do interviews a lot. You know who else he had? That was the lead singer of Metallica. They don't do interviews a lot.
Yeah.
So Chris Stapleton came on last.
I just saw Metallica with my boys.
Wow.
Yeah.
At the Camping World?
Actually, I was down in Miami.
Okay, because I drove by, because as an Uber driver, I'm looking at Metallica in Camping World on I-4 as I'm driving by going, fuck yeah.
Yeah. My son, my 23-year-old son just battled cancer, and we went to Metallica right before he went through the chemo.
Hell yeah.
And now we're celebrating. I shaved my head, but it's back.
Right.
It's still gray, but it came back.
Right.
And that's my celebration of him conquering.
Praise the Lord.
And but it's just Metallica. That was a bucket list.
Damn
so
right.
I got it in before I died.
Well, you want to hear something crazy because you're old enough to get this? Do you know who the lead singer of AC/DC is?
Oh yeah, Brian.
No.
Or the original.
No.
Or
he's gone. Brian is fucked up. His throat's all jacked up.
Oh, yeah.
So you know who the new lead singer is? Axl Rose. Is that crazy or what?
That is crazy.
That is some weird shit.
I didn't hear that part.
Yeah, I don't know if it was a special, if it was just a short gig, but he was, and I was like, what world am I living in? Okay, so
I got to hear it though. Now I just got to hear it. I'm just saying, I just got to hear it.
Mr. Judd, thank you so much for coming out. Mike Judd, check him out, social media. Everything will be down here when it's done. World Universe, thank you. We got a fucking party to go throw. Love, peace, chicken grease. We're out. Thank you.